What is it you would like me to talk about?
We're just asking people about their reflections on the environment in Putnam County.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure you'll have plenty to share.
Okay.
So don't stop.
Well, my name is Neil Armingeon. I'm the St. John's Riverkeeper. We're a citizens organization that fights to protect the St. John's River and the entire river system. We're in Putnam County, and we've been working with PCEC on the Ocklawaha. And one of the main issues that we work on in this county is not the most popular issue, but we're fighting the pipeline that Georgia Pacific Paper Mill wants to run from Rice Creek into the river. It's a terrible idea. And, it's something, my organization, we're starting our second decade. So we've been, some of these issues are long term. I guess you've heard from people trying to bring down the dam at Rodman Dam. So we've been fighting the pipeline for like 10 years. And we are still fighting it, and we're making a little progress. It's one of those jobs versus the environment issues. In Putnam County, the mill is, I hesitate to say they run the county, but close. They have a large amount of people that work there, and they're very influential. So when I'm down here, I always tell people, on a good day, I have equal number of friends and enemies. At the Rally for the Rivers, it's more toward the friends. But I think most people in Putnam County realize the river is the greatest resource that people have here. And so that's one of the reasons we're down here. And, we have been working with Karen and PCEC for years. We really admire the work they do here. And, Karen and I have been working on water issues. The river is looked at as a source of drinking water for Central Florida, so we've been fighting that. And then the other thing that we really try to do is just educate people why we're so blessed to have the St. John's River. And, it's one of the most unique bodies of water on Earth, not because it flows north, because of, just the ecology. There's 180 different fish, you have manatees, plants and animals that occur no other place. And so part of our job is to help people understand that. And then, we have boat trips. We come to Palatka about 4 times a year because we take people on 2-day boat trips where we leave from here, Palatka, and we go upstream to Sanford. And as we travel, we stop at springs and archaeological sites. And so, part of what we do is educate people about the river, because if you don't know something, it's really hard to care about it. Let's see what else. I guess, in my job as Riverkeeper, I tell people I probably have one of the best jobs anywhere. I get to work with citizens who are fighting to make their community a better place to live. And yesterday we had this incredible day. We had a bunch of speakers. And I think, given what's happened with the recent election, I think it's been difficult for people to feel hope. There's a lot of the things that a lot of us care about have kind of been rejected, or, Florida's in this, we need to grow at all costs. So I think the value of something like this event is, it helps people understand, A, you're not the only person who thinks this way, and B, what I told people yesterday, the thing I've been trying to convince people to think about since the election, both the governor and the federal election, I tell people we should just keep one word in mind: resist. Resist hopelessness, resist the belief that no one thinks like we do, resist fear, resist people telling you stuff that is wrong, and resist just your fear of not being able to counter that, and resist anger. We gotta just stay focused, and events like today are a way to realize, most people believe in what we believe, that our rivers, our streams, our lakes are worth protecting. It's who we are as a state, and if we lose that, Florida will be gone.
Could you tell me more about the workshop yesterday?
Well, what was great about the workshop, we had Senator Lee Constantine, who was, a champion for environmental issues in the Senate. He had been working for years, literally. He had been in the Senate for 8 years, so probably the last 3 years he's been working on a piece of legislation he kind of called the Springs Protection Act. And with a great deal of courage and commitment and work, it passed last year. And what it was a kind of a large bill that contained a lot of different provisions, not only to protect springs, but rivers, streams. And part of what he had in the bill was, as it turned out, a very controversial idea about septic tanks. Many people in Florida are not hooked up to wastewater treatment plants. They have septic tanks. And if you don't clean those out or service them, they become polluters or polluting items. And in less than a year after he spent all this time developing and passing this legislation, it will be overturned, I'm sure, this year, because there are people who are trying to convince people that taking care of septic tanks is cost prohibitive. But I think the real message, he said, is, he had been a public servant for 23 years. And for the first time, he literally was called a liar by one of the Senate's, a fellow senator. And I think he said, that's who we're dealing. Those are the times, and that we, the environmental community, we have to push back. We have to find the courage to speak, and we have to involve ourselves with some of these issues. And that doesn't mean just sending an email. It means maybe going to wherever your state rep or state senator, their offices, meet them in Tallahassee. We also had Tom Pelham, who was the director of the Department of Community Affairs. Most people don't know what that means, but it was the agency that oversaw land use planning in Florida. And recently, if people are following what's going on in Tallahassee, Governor Scott basically he just emasculated that whole agency, cut their budget. I think 90% of the staff is gone. And ultimately what that means, there's not going to be any land use planning in Florida. So we're going to continue to have sprawl, filling wetlands. And so again, his message was we, the environmental community, have to become engaged. And we had a group of attorneys who talked about how the law can help us in our work. At Riverkeeper, one of the things that we believe is environmental regulations are on the books to be enforced. And, we're pretty strongly adamant about that, and we sue people. And I think, that in some people's mind that makes us litigious. What I don't understand is why, when you ask somebody to follow the law, that's some kind of off-the-wall idea. But I think the power of having those attorneys, most of which have represented many of the groups here, that, in your tool bag as you think about these issues, the law should be one of them. And they also educated us how to start that process and when to go talk to an attorney. We had Charles Lee from the Audubon, who did a great job of talking about how we need to kind of restructure our message, and we, the environmental community, not so much concentrate on, we need these regulations, but tell people what they care about. We need to protect these places. I talked a little bit about water supply. As I mentioned, the rivers and springs are being looked at as water supply. And again, I think the power of what happened yesterday gave us all a chance to, honestly, for the last 6 weeks, I've been spending a lot of time in rooms with people who dislike me a great deal. And sometimes that wears on you. So it's kind of nice to be surrounded by people that have similar beliefs. And then, I always leave the River Rally energized and like, okay, we're going to get them.
And how long have you lived in Putnam County?
Well, I'm in Jacksonville. I've been the St. John's Riverkeeper. I'm starting my 9th year. I came here 8 years ago, and not necessarily be the Riverkeeper, just through divine intervention, I became the Riverkeeper.
Is there anything else you want to share with us?
Well, two things. My organization, if you want to learn more about what we do, we have a website, St. John's Riverkeeper. And wherever, if you're in Putnam County, Alachua County, wherever, there are citizens in your community working to protect the things that are important, and I would encourage people to seek them out and help them.